And we cut across two breaking news coming in. We are getting details of a massive anti-terror operation that has been launched in Poonch. The Indian Army has completely cornered this entire area. We'll also try and put out deferred pictures in a short while from now. Senior officials of the Indian Army, Jammu and Kashmir Police, who rushed soon to the spot after terrorists fired upon a vehicle of the Indian Army. Injuries caused to Indian Army soldiers, where one terrorist has also been injured. An Indian Army vehicle that was ambushed by terrorists in the upper reaches of Poonch. The area where the operation is underway is the same, where 5 Jawans of the Indian Army attained martyrdom in the deadly attack of Suran Court in Poonch in October 2021. 2 vehicles of the Indian Army, including a gypsy and one truck that was attacked by terrorists. Let me straight away cut across to Gursimran, who's joining us on the broadcast to give us more details on the same. Gursimran, where are you standing right now and what is the information you've been able to gather so far?
See, as per the intelligence inputs that we are getting to know from the multiple intelligence agencies, that the convoy of the Indian Army that include a gypsy and a 1-ton vehicle that was going to provide the reinforcement to the coordinate search team that had launched an operation based on hard intelligence input last evening, that was ambushed by a group of terrorists. The group of terrorists are said to be foreign terrorists, and the group of terrorists is believed to have 2 to 3 terrorists that fired upon the Indian Army, in which there have been multiple injuries to the Indian Army, and one terrorist is also said to be injured in the retaliation by the Indian Army forces. Now, Jammu and Kashmir Police along with the Indian Army, they have reached the spot, and important to mention that this is the same area where 5 Jawans of the Indian Army, they were ambushed by the terrorists in 2021 and they attained martyrdom. Post that operation lasted for a couple of months, and in the ensuing gun battle, 4 Jawans of the Indian Army also lost their lives. So it was one of the deadliest encounters of 2021, wherein total of 9 Jawans lost their life, and once again in the same area, which is a shadow area, here the Indian Army troops have been ambushed by the terrorists. Now the encounter between the terrorists and the security forces is underway, and the senior officials of the Indian Army along with the Jammu and Kashmir Police, they have reached the spot. Now what we are getting to know, that the senior commanders of the Indian Army in the formation, they are keeping a strict monitoring on ground that what is happening. They are regularly being briefed, including the corps commander. He has been briefed about the situation, the emerging situation that is developing, and also the additional troops have been sent to the spot. We are being told that the entire area, since this is a densely forested area, this has been cordoned in, and now the security forces are moving inside the forested area that is very close to the site of attack, where the security forces have been attacked by the terrorists. Multiple injuries to the Indian Army and 1 terrorist injured in the retaliation is what we are getting the confirmation from the sources within the army establishment. And also we are being told that this operation was launched late last night based on a hard intelligence input along with the Jammu and Kashmir Police. But when the reinforcement that included a gypsy in the front and a 1-ton vehicle carrying the troops of the Indian Army to the operation site, to the area where the cordon was laid, that was ambushed by the terrorists, those who were hiding in the nearby forested area. And when they tried to escape, 1 terrorist has been injured. This is what we are getting to know. But now the intensified operation is on, as this is one of the challenging area for the security forces, where the forces have suffered 5 casualties in 2021, and now the operation is on to flush out the terrorists. There is a regular input that 2 to 3 terrorists are active in the area, based on which this operation was launched, and now the operation has been intensified. The senior officers, including the SSP Poonch, are on the ground, and also the senior commanders of the Indian Army, they are keeping a tab on the developments that are taking place. The corps commander has been briefed about each and every development that is taking place on ground.
Right. Right. Gursimran, do stay on with us. Senior editor Shravan Sen also joining us on the broadcast. Shravan, like we understand that to conduct an operation in the dense forests has a lot of challenges. Now, of course, this operation that was launched last night, and around 4 p.m. is when we understand that the attack happened. As Gursimran also tells us, 2 to 3 terrorists who are active in that entire area. What more have you been able to pick on this?
Well, in fact, my colleague Gursimran has also got you the latest details as far as the operation is concerned. Remember, the operation is underway, so we perhaps will have to only put out few details that we are getting in of the operation that was carried out a while back. As far as the area is concerned, let me just put that into perspective. Dera Ki Gali, remember in Surankot area back in 2021, this was the same very area where a terrorist attack actually took place. Now it turns out that there are active terrorists in that very area where the operation is still underway. Now this is undoubtedly one of the most challenging areas for the Indian Army, keeping in mind the dense foliage in this area, which essentially means that, remember, there are certain points which acts as a vantage point for the terrorists, and there are blind spots for the forces. Remember, in the past too, when operations have been carried out, the SF had to be brought in primarily to ensure that they are neutralized as soon as possible. But this is more like a cat and mouse game, given the fact that time and again you would see the terrorists being on the run. And as the night falls, remember, it's going to get even more challenging for the Indian Army. Having said that, as my colleague Gursimran was pointing out, that they have been able to basically narrow down in that particular area where they believe that the terrorists could be hiding. How did it all start? This is what we know in terms of the operation that is being carried out as we speak, which has also been briefed to the Northern Commander as we speak. Important to point out here is that intelligence input largely came in of terrorists being present in that area. 4 to 5 is what we are being told, but remember, the numbers could very well vary at this point in time because it's a volatile and a fluid situation. So perhaps we'll have to wait for more information really coming in from the Indian Army. But at this point in time, keeping in mind with scant information that has come in from the Indian Army, which is essentially because the operation is still underway. What we can confirm and what is it that we know so far is that an ambush was essentially laid, and more importantly, when you had the army vehicles, a gypsy which was attacked by the terrorists, they had opened fire, which was also retaliated and thwarted by our forces. This has basically led to a situation where Indian Army too has also sustained a few injuries. While we do not know, perhaps we'll have to bring in Gursimran on this entire point, whether we do know in terms of how many of our Jawans have been injured, or perhaps we'll have to wait for some more time before an official figure really comes in from the Indian Army on this entire point. But having said that, remember, just to underscore the point that this very area where in the past too we have seen it has resulted in losing some of our brave hearts. It's only because of the kind of challenges that they face in navigating through this area, not only the dense foliage, but also keeping in mind that the right now with the weather as well as the conditions not being extremely conducive for an operation of this nature to be carried out, which makes it even more difficult for the forces.